Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome to a modern magazine thing, because this time we're going to be looking at Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer issue number 59, which comes with something different on the cover rather than dice, so I'm excited by that. Now, often I've got little stories about how the magazine was age restricted or it was difficult to get. None of that this week, because I went into a totally different shop and found it. I was waiting for my wife, she's back on her feet, her legs all healed, so I was hanging around waiting for her to finish up something. I nipped into a shop, saw it on the shelf and grabbed it. And picked up some crackers as well, I believe. But they're irrelevant to the story. Anyway, let's have a look at Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer issue number 59. So, we've got Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer issue number 59. And it doesn't have dice, and it doesn't have stupid red card things. It's got another notebook and a mechanical pencil. Now, I'm never going to complain about getting mechanical pencils and notepads. Now, I say that, I didn't think I'd ever complain about getting dice, but I certainly am these days. But a notepad's a handy thing to have, mechanical pencil's not bad. It's a bit plain, it's a standard black mechanical pencil. I expected some kind of logo or something on it, but it's absolutely fine. And it's a standard lined notebook. It'd be nice if it was something else, but not bad. Very similar to the last one we got. We got a red one last time, we've got a gold one this time. Both just lined notepads. But as I said, I tend to use notepads a lot in my real life. I tend to go to business meetings and things and take notes in a notepad, whereas during games I tend to use digital note-taking. So I can see myself turning up to business meetings at some point in the future with a Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer notepad and taking notes in that. Magazine itself, and we have a new cover. It's quite cool. We've got a tortoise with a Warhammer there, an Aarakocra, a Tabaxi, and somebody very much in shadow getting ambushed by different people. But I do have a question. I was told that these covers were based on the characters. And this issue, or the characters which are included in each section. And this issue is thicker, because we have 4 new characters. At 5th level, we have Krantor Tharanax, a human thief. We have Ryzagar Stormhelm, a Hill Dwarf cleric. Arena Ilaris, a wood elf fighter arcane archer. And Mirovich Farfoot, a lightfoot halfling wizard abjuration sage. I don't see any of them on the cover. Do we get these ones later? What's happening? I thought these were the characters which were going to feature in each section. Doesn't matter. It's a nice new cover. I'm not sure about the layout of the city. It seems very vertical, but it's far better than the last one, which was just a bunch of humanoids sitting around a table. This one sells Dungeons & Dragons so much better. It's far more action, there's something going on, and the creatures are far more out there. We're not just standard humanoids with pointy ears, short humanoids with beards. We have got the outrageous creatures of Dungeons & Dragons. Thumbs up on that cover. Although I'll probably get bored of it fairly quickly, as I did with the last. What have we got in this? New and exclusive adventure, creepy crawlies of infested regions, multiple monsters mob brawls, ghost story haunted locations, and move up to 5th level. Now, a slight problem with this one. This isn't supposed to be a magazine as such. You're supposed to be buying these to put in ring binders. And this issue is glued too heavily, mine one is. As you can see, it's all ripping around the ring binding. And that means the pages would just fall out of ring binder. It's kind of sad. Anyway, so Adventure 6 we're on to, instead of Adventure 5, 59, The Quick and the Dead. Sage Advice, we've got Spellcasting, Supernatural Reasons Part 3 and 4, Combat Mob Rules, and Character Creation, Rogue features 5th level, Wizard features 5th level, Cleric features 5th level, Fighter features 5th level. Now, while I'm not terribly excited about the character creation stuff, the way they are formatting this, whereas you get up to 5th level, the magazine covers what you get for each class, we're going to see a lot of that over the next few issues as we cover all the different classes, and I have no major gripe with that, although I'm not interested in it. Anyway, on to the articles themselves. So, we've got Supernatural Reasons. Well, we had parts 1 and 2 of this last issue, and basically it's regions where different things happen. So we have a haunted region. It describes about what's going to happen to it, and we've got different haunted effects. So a violent thunderstorm begins, centered over the region. For 24 hours, a luminous wisp of vapor floats above the corpse or grave in this region. Different things just to be interesting as you pass through somewhere. And then we've got part 4, which is infested regions. So bugs you swat absentmindedly out of the air. And we've got different infested regions as well. So intense buzzing or grinding noises fill the region. Random creature in the region must succeed on a DC 16 Constitution or acquires a ravenous silverfish infestation among its gear. So different things just to make travelling more interesting. You pass through an area which is infested with insects, and various annoying things could happen. It's interesting. It makes travelling a little more interesting, different from just going from A to B. So these sections are nice. We've got mob rules. Whenever characters are confronted by a horde of horrific monsters or hostile crowd, you can use the mob rules table to keep the action moving during combat. And we've got mob rules, so different types of mob attacks. So if you're being attacked by a bunch of people. Interesting, but we will come back to that, because this is mob combat. We've got the rogue features for 5th level. Uncanny dodge, sneak attacks, hit point and hit dice. We've got wizard features for 5th level. So we've got some spells, proficiency bonuses. We've got cleric features. Their hit points and hit dice, watch domains and what abilities they get, spellcasting. And fighter features for 5th level. So extra attacks, proficiency bonuses, hit points and second wind. And then we've got the quick and the dead. So in the Dwarven Citadel of Gauntlegrim, the streets are beset by the Necromancer Crazier's undead horde. Although the characters manage to make their way past the enemies, flowing in through its mithril gate, they manage to find a route to the war room of King Bruenor. So, why does this become a new adventure? What did they do which ended Adventure 5, apart from getting the gates of the Citadel? Surely the end of that adventure should have been getting to the king. They've been sent questing for this magic item. Getting back with it and then getting sent on their next quest should be the start of a new adventure. This just seems like continuation. It seems a very arbitrary point of the end of an adventure. Anyway, we've got beginning the encounter. So as they travel through, how it's lit, what the inhabitants are, means of transportation, whether they sneak their way through, exposed route, and it's a chase scene as they move through the city. So we've got, as they run through, they've got chase complications, as they've reached the Vault of the King and have to enter aggressive negotiations. And we've got various stat blocks for dwarf skeletons, stone juggernauts, dwarf commoners, spectres and wraiths. And that ends it. But it feels like this should be an excellent section for mob. The streets are beset by hordes of undead. Shouldn't this be using the mob combat rules they've introduced in this issue? They really seem to be missing this so often that they introduce new rules and new ideas, and instead of putting it into the adventure to feature them and use it, they really skip over that. Now, maybe they're introducing the general idea. So last issue, or a couple of issues ago, when they were introducing negotiations and diplomacy rules, and they were introducing the Svirfneblin, that the Games Master could have added in negotiations. And in this, the Games Master can add in mob rules if they feel comfortable, but they're keeping it simple. But it feels like there should be a boxed out section explaining that. Anyway, it's fairly simple. It's a chase through the streets of a city against undead. It feels like very much more of the same. I do not understand why this is the start of the next adventure at all. And as we already went through, we've got character sheets for 5th level characters, which finish it off. The wizard, and that's us. So the magazine's slightly thicker because we've got 4 extra pages of character sheets, which are a thicker card. They're not as soft as the other ones. They are more durable. The adventure's not up to much, and I don't understand why it's the start of a new section. The supernatural regions are fairly interesting, and mob rules could be useful. and I'm a fan of the pen and notepad. So that was Dungeons & Dragons Adventurer issue number 59. And we got something different for a change. We got a notepad and a pen. Instead of getting more dice, instead of getting those stupid red-backed maps which are scaled totally wrong, so are useless, and are just duplicates of what's in the magazine anyway, we got something which I'm actually going to use, a notepad. I find notepads incredibly useful, and a pencil's always handy to have around. If they gave us it too often, it'd be annoying, but this was nice to get a second one. We've only had this once before, as far as I'm aware. And the magazine itself, well, most of it's devoted to leveling up. There's 8 pages within it, devoted to 4 classes worth of leveling up. But it's the fact that it's this point they've chosen for leveling up, where one adventure goes into another. Adventure 5 into an Adventure 6. So we've got the new cover, nice. But why are we leveling up at this point? We literally were outside the city, found a way of getting in, and then when we're in the city, we've leveled up. What was the event that made us level up? Now, I understand in milestone play, the points where you level up can seem very, very arbitrary. In my family game, which I play in along with my 2 sons, along with my nephew, and it's GM'd by my niece, who is doing an amazing job at it. But she chooses points where we reach a milestone and we level up. But she doesn't actually let us level up until we rest. So there was a point in the adventure recently where we defeated a large monster. We had to do a lot of tactical fighting to defeat it, keep it at range, because if it got into close combat with us, it would wipe us out. And we did that. But then we travelled on for a while, and it's not until we camped down for the night and rested that she let us level up. Which makes a lot of sense, because we're going to learn new spells, we're going to gain new abilities, and resting during that makes sense. But it kind of disconnected it from the fight. But at least it was a practical place. We'd gone somewhere, we'd rested, and that's when we levelled. And we got to improve our characters before we carried on the next day. Why is this adventure literally us just stepping foot into a city, and that's where we gain an adventure level? Makes no sense. It's not a point where you can really sit and calculate things out on your character sheet. It's just a very, very arbitrary point. Now, the other articles in the magazine are pretty good. As I commented, they're not really used. The mob tactics, which it talks about on one of the articles, is not used in the adventure. I would really like it more, is if, as well as introducing new monsters and using those in the adventures, that they actually used the rules that they brought in. The diplomacy a few weeks ago, it would have been brilliant if that had been in the adventure. Or they even just added in a boxed-in section suggesting that a games master could use that, or if they're not comfortable bringing new rules, they can just use the adventure as published. It does seem like the mob rules would have suited this adventure when they're fighting their way through the streets. But anyway, as usual, I've been wittering on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. As always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.